Hi there, I'm Mike Chapple, and in this CertMike Explains video, I'm going to tackle an important topic covered by security certification exams. We're going to talk about due diligence and due care, and most importantly, the difference between these two topics. Now here's why I think this gets pretty confusing for some people. When you hear these two terms, due care and due diligence, your brain says, yeah, I know what those are. They're about doing the right thing. And that's true. But what about when I ask you to explain the difference between due care and due diligence? That's where some of us start to get a little tripped up. We have the right idea about what these terms mean, but there's an important distinction between due diligence and due care that we might not be able to explain so easily. Let's work through that together so that you're not confused when you take your next certification exam. First, let's talk about due diligence. Due diligence, like due care, is all about doing the right things. But due diligence is all about prior planning. When we perform due diligence, we're putting all the governance structures, processes, and frameworks in place to make sure that we're meeting our obligations. An easy way to think of due diligence is that it's the things that we do in advance. When we're building out and maintaining our security program, we're performing due diligence to ensure that we're ready when something goes wrong. We write policies, create procedures, and deploy playbooks as part of our due diligence efforts. Due care, on the other hand, is more tactical and in the moment. The definition of due care is that you're taking the same care that an ordinary, reasonable person would take under the same circumstances. So when you're making day-to-day security decisions, you're making the same decisions that any reasonable security professional would make. We can think of due care as the things that we do in the moment. These are the actions that carry out the specifics of our security program. Due care includes everything from how we configure and test firewall rules to how we carry out our incident response plans. So now we have some definitions of these two terms, but you still might not be exactly clear on how due diligence and due care are related and how they're different. I think some examples will help you with that. Before I get into those examples, I just want to take a moment to invite you to visit my website at CertMike.com. On that site, I have free study plans put together to help you earn your next cybersecurity certification. The plans tie together the content that you'll find in study guides, video courses, and practice tests to help you prepare for your next certification exam and pass that test on the first try. Also, if you're enjoying this CertMike Explains video, please take a moment to click the like button below to help other people discover it. If you subscribe to my channel, you'll be among the first to see my new cybersecurity videos as they come out. Now, the first example that I want to give you is outside the world of cybersecurity. If you're a homeowner, you know that maintaining your home in working order is a lot of work. There are a whole bunch of things that you need to do to protect the investment that you've made in your home. The due diligence that you should perform includes setting up the processes and procedures that help you maintain your home. For example, you might create a checklist of all of the different tasks that you should perform every year to make sure that you don't forget something important. I do this for my home. There are some tasks that I do every month and others that I do quarterly or annually. The work of getting that schedule set up is due diligence. I also do regular inspections of my home to make sure that everything's looking okay and that there aren't any hidden maintenance issues that might grow into larger problems. That's all performing my due diligence. Now, of course, that plan is only good if I actually follow it, and that's where due care comes into play. When I check things off my list, such as refilling the salt in the water softener every month, lubricating the garage door every quarter, or draining my hot water heater once a year, that's all due care. Due care is taking the actions that any reasonable homeowner would take to protect their home. Due care also includes the day-to-day decisions that I make. If I spot water in my basement, that's a warning sign that something larger might be wrong. I definitely should clean up that water because I don't want water in my basement, but any reasonable homeowner would also try to figure out where that water came from and see if there might be a larger problem with the house. Maybe there's a leaky pipe that needs to be fixed or a crack in the wall that needs to be filled. Staying on top of these small problems prevents them from later becoming larger problems. Taking all of those reasonable steps is all due care. Okay, so now that we've talked about due diligence and due care in the context of home ownership, let's talk about what they mean in the world of cybersecurity. Building out a cybersecurity program is performing due diligence. As we seek to protect the interests of our organization, we create policies, procedures, and guidelines that lay out a governance framework that describes how we will approach cybersecurity matters. We also put controls in place to protect our organizations. We deploy firewalls, run vulnerability scans, and put countless other controls in place to make sure that we're ready when something goes wrong. Just as with the home maintenance example I gave you earlier, due care is all about actually doing the right things from a cybersecurity perspective. It's about following the policies, procedures, and guidelines that we've created, and generally doing the right thing when it comes to cybersecurity. We need to make sure that we're actually running vulnerability scans and doing something about the vulnerabilities that they identify. We need to make sure that we're following up on intrusion alerts, analyzing firewall logs, and implementing our incident response process. Someone practicing due care wouldn't ignore a water leak in their home. They'd figure out the root cause. Similarly, someone practicing due care shouldn't ignore security issues. They should resolve them and then figure out the root cause to prevent them from happening again or from creating a larger problem down the road. I hope this video helped you understand the difference between due diligence and due care. If it did, please click the like button below and subscribe to my channel for more cybersecurity content.